Hi everyone, today is 8th of April. Uh, We'll start with Bitcoin at 4-hour time frame. First focusing on the local setup and then we'll zoom out as usual. So let's see what it's trying to do. Okay, quick recap. So from this, so this is consolidation, very simple. And this is more like an expanding pattern. You may start a different angle from a TA point of view. You can start with this or this one. So what will happen? The expansion would look different. I chose this one because this was a major one, but not necessarily this is the only expanding. You may start from here and here, then you can get even wider pattern, right? So that's how it is. But I chose this one because this is near term, and I think this is good enough because it captures major swings. So I chose this one. So that's the thing about TA. The TA is the same chart can be made bullish or bearish, or you can come up with different patterns which are contradicting in nature. And sometimes we have to choose as a TA that what makes sense and take side. So that's how it is. And that's why you will see that difference in opinion, because it depends on one TA's opinion versus another from their preference point of view or um, their bias point of view. So as far as this channel, this is not parallel channel because of some spikes. This is higher high and this is lower low, and that's why this becomes an expanding channel like this. So with this kind of a structure, what happens if I extend this one further like this, then it gives us even higher level, and then here it gives us a little lower than this S2, but more or less very close to it. But yeah, it could be lower because it could take time for it to, so it could be like 26K. Then we'll see from this channel point of view. So this is important one in my point of view, and this is ugly one as well. Now from a trend line point of view, as I said, there can be so many things you could do in consolidation. I don't want to confuse you or contradict myself, because so if I draw like this is also a valid setup in this case. So I'm just trying to prove a point that there is no one right method, and one can contradict and then to other, right? So this is just an example. This is also valid way of representing where you say that this wave is contracting, and then this becomes your boundary, and then this becomes its boundary. So this is a higher one, this is a lower one, and we can say that this is like moving in this zigzag manner. Okay, zigzag manner where it is approaching the apex of this triangle, like very. So if there's not much space and somewhere near starting next week, it has to decide. It could decide in next 48 hours. I was expecting it to decide somewhere here, but looks this bounce has delayed the process. So looking at this setup, by Tuesday we should have decision for sure, because from when I say sure means technically speaking, because there would not be any further room. Now the question is on what side of breakout. And sometimes like this one, when the pattern is in equilibrium, I think it's all about, so right now we can say it's a 50-50, and we it is, you might say how it is. So it is simple. This is your higher level and this is your lower level. The price is somewhere in middle. So the probability of swinging on either side is more or less equal. Now, and this is a game of probability. It's not certain. There's no certainty. So at this moment, I cannot say that this side is weighing more versus another. From local pattern point of view, if I zoom out, then the trend of the weekly trend is up, because the low was around 15K and now it is near 28K. So it's trending up. But as far as this consolidation, whether each consolidation is like this is a checkpoint. And my comment about neutral position is for this particular setup. Otherwise, if I talk about the weekly trend, the trend is up. Sometimes people mix up two things. When I say weekly trend is up, that means there is the direction is up. That means the wave is progressing on the upside. However, consolidation could be the point where that particular direction changes. So each consolidation like this one, which lasts for a few days like this one, is a checkpoint where we have to say, is it continuing on the upside or likely to continue on the upside? And depends on what it does here, we'll say, okay, now it is likely to make another leg up, for example. And in that case, the wave that is already up is continuing on the upside. This is how it is being narrated. Okay, and I would say describe. And if it, let's say, breaks below this and continue to go down and breaks this one, because this is the immediate low, and then this is the ultimate low from this structure point of view. So if it starts going down and keep breaking this one, and you know that it doesn't happen like in a straight line, it could go down, up, and zigzag manner. So checkpoint point of view, this S3 and S2, which are slightly lower than this, which makes sense to have some gap, I would say. Makes sense. So S3, S2 are the next checkpoints from a downside scenario point of view. Even if it touches S2, if you look at it, we can say it has touched the lower side of the pattern. Like it has touched the higher side, we can say it has touched. So even if it touches S2 or comes near S2, we cannot say this structure is broken, because this structure started somewhere here near S2, and even if it comes down to S2, we cannot say the structure is broken technically. So that's the thing. But if S2 is broken, then this is the next key level. I may refine it. If it comes down, then I may refine it. But for now, I would just keep R1 as a reference point. So if this structure is broken with these two interim supports, S3 and S2, then R1 is the next support, right? But for that to happen, it has to break below the R2 resistance zone, where it is, if you look at closely, it is just bouncing off within this narrow band. Then it has to break below this yellow line, and then this low, or I would say S3 to be conservative, and then S2, and so on. So there's a lot of room on the downside for it to break this consolidation. And I see a fractal, which I'm going to show you. There is a fractal or repetition of this pattern, which happened on January 28th, which began on January 28th until February 1st week, for roughly 17 days. And again, when we detect this kind of pattern, we cannot assume that it will end up with the same outcome, right? But it's something we can refer and potentially predict, or I would say project the potential path. So I'm going to show you that as well. That is a very interesting. It's like a photocopy, and you would love to see that. Okay, I think I had posted once, but I'm not sure when. Few days ago, when it was not that this and it wasn't. It was halfway around. Yeah, somewhere here I had posted with a green 2 vertical bar, if you refer to, and with expanding pattern. Anyway, so I'll show you again. So I think you understood this one. Now, from a trader point of view, as I said, trader cannot decide because this is a neutral setup from a Bitcoin point of view. Now we'll talk about altcoin. And different altcoin have different strength. One thing is for sure that this altcoin are so sensitive to Bitcoin, and sensitivity differs. At this moment in this week, what I'm observing is a little bit of stabilization or little bit of stability from BTC is good enough for them to bounce. And if BTC even bounces, let's say 0.5%, they would tend to go up. Now, today it's little different, but in general, this is what is the behavior from altcoin. I don't want to digress from Bitcoin. First, I would like to complete the Bitcoin and then move into altcoin. But as I mentioned last week and last to last week, that this is the phase where altcoins are more vulnerable simply because they are so sensitive, and they are not making progress. The way Bitcoin pumped and the way Bitcoin is holding up value, these also are not doing the same. They are more weaker as far as their price action is concerned. We cannot generalize it. I'm talking about last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks of price action. So if the mood changes, we'll see and we'll track accordingly. But again, I would say the same, that right now the focus area is BTC. And looking at this consolidation, this pattern should end. This inner pattern should end in next couple of days. If it starts dropping and breaks below yellow, it could happen even earlier. So within 2 days, I would say it should give us clear cut breakout as far as their boundaries are concerned and the way it is progressing. One way to also, I mean, the volume is helping us. The volume is nothing. When you look at this kind of volume, of course, this is Binance, but I don't think any other exchange would have anything different. The volume is really down. Like this is like um, dead. There's nothing. I cracked a joke to one of my friends. It seems that CZ's 300 accounts are inactive. Maybe that's the reason why this is happening. So anyway, that's just a joke. But yeah, it looks like nobody is interested. This is like autopilot. This is like more like a cruise control mode where it is just going straight. There's no turn, just going straight. This is kind of, so there's no liquidity. Look at the volume. There's no money coming in. Where if I look at the stock, the action is really happening on tech stock. I saw many tech stocks bouncing hard. They're pumping hard, but the same is not visible in last 2 weeks for Bitcoin. Of course, the way Bitcoin went up is crazy. So it made only 3 moves, or I would say 3 important days. We'll look in at a higher time frame little later. Then you will see that only in last 45 days or so, or 2 months, I would say, only few days were important. If trader missed those few days, then missed the whole entire pump, and that's how it behaved. So anyway, so we'll look into that as well. So this is 4 hours. So this is clear, I believe. There's nothing you can do about it. So in other words, there's no technical analysis to be done in this one because it's not doing anything. TA has to do something. If it does something, right now what we could draw like this, and I'll keep these drawings very simple, and these drawings are aligned with key levels. If you look at it, it makes total sense. So even if this breaks above horizontal line is more relevant, because after line at angle is broken, the horizontal line comes in play, because that's how it works. And this could drop like this, and then you have to expand this line up to this, and that's how it works. So for an example, the line was this. So let me show you the example. So when this was the low, this was the low, you would draw like this. which makes sense. Assume you are here. Little bit of TA for your understanding why trend line is not so reliable but still important. So you draw like this, and this is totally valid. You're connecting this and this. Then comes next bar or candle. What happens is this. It breaks, not close, but breaks. And that changes the end point, right? You may say that, okay, I am not concerned about the lows, and then you change it to, let's say, closing price, then entirely it everything changes, and then you draw something like this, which is very interesting. Then you see what happens is, this is the angle it gives you, and 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 this becomes resistance. So it broke down and tries to break above, but not quite broken above, right? And then trying to basically break above, but if it fails, then it goes down. You may extend this line from here, in fact, all the way, and make another line like this one. This is even more relevant. And then you're connecting this and this, and you can say that it hasn't even touched this line. So you see, very interesting point. And then you can think and develop different ideas that, okay, this is, from a closing point of view, this is more like my parallel channel, where I change the whole entire scenario, where I would draw something like this, in parallel. Let me keep it, but with respect to green line, this is more like a parallel channel or parallel ascending channel in consolidation. Maybe like if I bring down like this, you see. So this is like an artwork sometimes. And again, I don't want to confuse you, that I'm just trying to prove a point that there is no one method. I can draw a parallel line and show you that this is really going up, and then I can show you that this is neutral chart from earlier explanation, right? So the narrative could be changed so easily with a, and how you put. So this is nothing. It's not about what is right or wrong. It is about how you visualize it, how you define the boundaries. So right now I would like to define like this. I'm not going with parallel channel. In fact, I'm going with an expanding channel. So what I'm doing is, with a symmetrical triangle like this, I want to focus on this zone or wave. And then if it is breakout on the upside or downside, then this green zone will be my area, so to speak. This green zone will be my area, like that, for tracking point of view. And that will be the true tracking. In fact, this can be expanded like this, all the way from here. Yeah, something like this. Or maybe I can expand it from here as well, like this, which is still valid form, because I'm not violating any rule, not getting into candles body here. Maybe this is perfect. Yeah. So this is crazy consolidation, where so I think we'll keep this one. So this is our lower level tracking. And then if it bounces, then somewhere around 29, it depends on the angle, by the way. So TA has, we don't know, to be honest, at this moment, that if the angle is this, then it is near 30K. If it expands further, then still 30K. So 29 to 30K is the next resistance from this consolidation. And remember, this is still a consolidation, and many people will surprise, and it happened in past, which I'm going to show you. And later on, people detected this loudspeaker pattern, or whatever pattern they're calling. It's not a loudspeaker pattern. This is expanding channel. But they came up with this channel after the price action, where we had on our channel, we had depicted much before that. And I see the repetition of that, right? So sometimes people get excited. So this was also higher high, but it was a false breakout. And even if it breaks above this one, and it could touch here and really break down from here. Why? Because this is still below this expanding pattern, I mean within the expanding channel. So but because we know this pattern, we won't be surprised, because we will be anticipating something here. You have that knowledge now from a tier point of view, right? So whatever side you want to choose, you may choose using key levels, right? But these key levels are important, and one can easily plan. As I said, some the TA is very similar to GPS system, where it doesn't tell you what to do. It tells you, depends on your input, where you want to go. So if you decide that your destiny is north, then this, it will say take this, I mean these are the paths it shows. Of course GPS prompts you and all that, but here the analogy is GPS, like GPS. Here these are different key levels. So if your bias is on the upside, then these are the key levels where you track it and say, okay, is it on the right path? If your bias is towards the downside, why I'm saying two options, because right now it's neutral. So if the bias is on the downside, then these are the levels one can track. So similar to GPS system, right? Depends on your destination or your preference to move in on the north or on the south, right? So I think this is good enough on my point of view. And as I said, there's no liquidity, there's no volume. So it is just moving in cruise control mode and kind of a straight direction, very narrow range. It's not taking any decisive move. It should somewhere, cannot go long forever. Yeah. Okay, so let me go back and show you the prior consolidation. Maybe we can move on a higher time frame, on a 12 hours, and I'll show you this is a fractal. So this piece of wave that you focus, okay, where there was an expanding pattern. It wasn't when it was like somewhere here, but we had detected much earlier. And then we actually forget about, so let me hide this for your benefit. Okay. Let me not draw all the way here for now. Remember, I mean, it's not going to be point by point exact same pattern, but you will get a gist of it and feel of it. And this is this expanding patterns are very, very tricky. Okay, it's very tricky in terms of determining what it wants to do, right? So this is how it was expanding, the more on the downside. And then what it did, it came down like this, right? It came down like this, and then a sudden drop. And then again, if you expand it, perfect hit. And that's where we got the support. Of course, when you are here, you cannot say that it will go up that high. You cannot say, nobody can say that. But this is a reference point, right? This is a reference point. In fact, if I try to be more precise, this is how, you see, this is how, so it went up, and then this is more like a retest, makes sense, right? So it made a slightly new low, but because this line was at angle, this is not right and not really broken. So this trend, you can say it was downtrend, touch, 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 and touch. And of course, this could have gone down. And in that case, we had to stop this one, because there is no other point for us to refer it on the downside. Then then probably it would be different pattern altogether. Then when it touched here, And then we can say that because it started bouncing, so why don't we expand? And when we expanded, we got this. Then people realized, most of the people realized that, hey, this is kind of a loudspeaker. But it was long before that. This was, we had, I think, shared somewhere here, or even somewhere here also we had highlighted that this is how it expanding, right? Anyway, that's a history, right? But point is, we are somewhere here. If I want to compare the prior pattern, let me bring both of these together for your benefit. You see, now you will appreciate a little more. I think this is cloudy, but I hope you'll bear with it. Maybe you know what? I should keep this green color because just for visually, yeah. So this is similar, as you could see, touching this, touching it, right, expanding. Now you can say that. So if it breaks down, right, if it breaks down like this one, so this is bouncing. So maybe this bounce is similar to this one, let's say, right? Um, very more I see, more interesting it becomes. This is similar to this yellow line we have on the screen. Wow. I hope you're with me. If not, please prompt me. You can speak, by the way. But if you're with me, then
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah. So we are kind of a. It's like a movie making, right? So shot by shot, we are trying to depict what it's trying to do. And again, the theme we chose, that we're kind of expanding that theme. I mean, I'm right now explaining is what goes through my mind. And so in call like this is how I could express, which is not possible in when I post something. So that's why this is where I get opportunity. And yeah, so this is very interesting TA stuff as well, actually. And as I said, I don't say I teach TA, but this is TA. And with a live example, I don't tag. Milo used to say, you don't have structured. I like his comment, but his point is, I don't have structured way of explaining things. And yeah, this is how it is, because what I do is I take example, and whatever comes in my mind, I share. And so I don't have, say, a label. So it's not like a college or university or school where this is grade one, this is your syllabus, or this is your scope. I don't teach like that. So you are with me, and every week I come across something, and depends on what the situation, I share. And sometimes I post on academia, like I posted yesterday 2 charts, right? Explaining the parallel channel and head and shoulder, and likewise. So this is way of my teaching, in a way. So this is pure academics. uh, and so I don't have courses like other provider might be providing, that this is beginner, then this is middle, and then advanced and all. It's so for me, there's nothing structured. So his comment is, I am not structured, and this is how I am. I am. So anyone who is on this call, referring this video, end up learning something, and probably they would end up learning something much more deeper than anything available publicly, in my opinion. Because the way we take example and expand the theme like this one, because this is like depicting real time, and you know going step by step in a very detailed manner. Right, so coming back to, so you see how it, so this again, as I said, it's not that because it happened in past, the outcome will be the same. it has to meet the condition. That means it has to break above this yellow line, or I would say this orange line, to be safer. No, to be conservative for it, we can say now it wants to touch the green line, right? So there are always point of invalidation from for reference point or reference structure. This is our reference structure for now, the entire thing. And this one is very similar to this phase. And it makes sense. And when I say this is also near apex and this is also near apex, if you look at the triangle, right, that way. And then in this case, after this bounce, it got rejected and it came down and touched this one. So if this bounces and gets rejected, then the next level is somewhere here. Depends on when it lands. We have to just expand this. The angle could be this or little this one. For now, I would just keep this one. It's a little tricky sometimes, but it's not about exact dollar number. It's more about the structure. Okay, so this is what I'm following. Okay, and so I shared with you. So if you're interested, you may do the same. Right now, very interesting. So if it goes down like it went down here, then somewhere here, which gives us 25K, and then probably this R1 is important, right? Then R1, because this, if this pattern expands, if we take the same scenario, and so this could be, let's say this could be the trajectory or path. It could try to break above and then touch back and then shoots up. This could be a potential path. Maybe a little different color. I don't want to make it cloudy. Now, then you develop something like this. And then if this is the path, very interestingly speaking, then it will meet, voila, R3. Isn't it?
I like this a lot.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah, this is good.
It made voice.
Oh, we have child artist as well. Okay, in this movie, good. So this is, I mean, as I said, there are so many scenarios one could think. Okay, and another interesting point, then if I expand even further and little bit of adjustment like this, which is not violating anything, I get a bigger one. Okay, and if I expand even further, oops, on the upside, look at this. What we get is the perfect alignment with this one angle pointer. So maybe in that case, I can remove this one at all, totally. How about this? Boom. You see? Now I will go crazy. Okay. I would like to go crazy in this one. And if I expand even this further, what if? So this could be the important point. And what if this doesn't happen? Of course, these are the checkpoints. I would draw something like this. And in this case, it could just come down like this. Or there could be many other scenarios like this as an alternative scenarios. See, so this is how I would expand my thought process. Of course, if it breaks above from here, then none of this would be valid. In that case, it would be straight move. In that case, whole entire. Then if it goes and again, this is a checkpoint, and this is a very tricky one because there are so many. So this is still, we could expand like this one actually, and this is still a hit in this way. So the question is, if it continues again, it goes for R3 range. If it goes down and then retest this R1 and then goes up. If it fails this one, it goes little deeper. This is still S1, S1B will not break the structure, as you could see. And then it could take this path. Maybe we can label that this is B1 bullish 1 path, B2 bullish 2 path, this is B3 bullish 3 path, just for scenario point of view. And then, as I said, GPS, if it takes this turn, then B1. If it takes this one, then potentially B2. You know what I'm saying? And if it goes down in further, and then this is B3. So, you know, the destiny could be this one, but the route could be, so this is like traffic jam. Again, this is like a detour, goes up. Again, there's something wrong. Another one, detour, goes back, something like this, and eventually. So this could be annoying, but yeah. So this is how it works. And the TA, as I always say, it's not about predicting. It's all about finding probable paths, probable levels and path based on the structure. And the structures are so many. The lines, the way you draw lines, and you see, I haven't used any fancy indicator here. Even I haven't used my own indicator. This is simply trend line. So you're just using structure and trend line. I'm kind of depicting the scenario and trying to expand how it might unfold. So it's all about thinking about different scenario and then using the key levels, determining the probability of breakout, whether on the upside or downside. This is the essence of TA. So there is absolutely no bias that it is going for this level, and I believe in precision. So if you look at it, my ranges are very, very, you know, limited, because my focus is this area. And I already said the trend is up weekly, but it is important at this level what it's trying to do. And that's why I'm spending so much time explaining on this. Otherwise, I could wrap up in actually 5 minutes. Whatever I shared, many times I don't plan how deep I should go, but today I think I went pretty deep, and I kind of explained everything that was going in my mind for last couple of weeks, I would say. So this is yeah, this is everything. Now, what else should I add? Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I mean, I'm happy on my side. If you want to know more, just let me know. If you have any question, let me know.
Question. I've got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about Saylor owning? I read somewhere that he owns like 5 and 1 Bitcoin at this point. I mean, how do you think that affects the? I guess that's FA, right?
So you mean to say the increase in his positions?
I read somewhere that he's got like he owns at this point 5 and 1 total Bitcoin
I
on the
know.
market.
So he has been buying.
So at this point, can Bitcoin even really crash like it used to do? You know, those big type of crash days. I mean, if he's got that much Bitcoin, that provides stability to it, right?
No. You're thinking from spot point of view. You're not thinking from leverage point of view or futures market point of view.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're right, but there's futures market as well. You can short with borrowing. So there is it can happen. And in fact, what you just touch based, it's to me that itself is a risk. That one person is holding 20% of the liquidity or coin, probably much more, who knows, because Satoshi's coins are not there and so many people lost their coins.
Sure.
So those who are like old wallets, they didn't care about their coins, and I heard so many stories that they lost their private keys. So in reality the supply is even lesser. So I think he holding that much itself a risk to me, because how, even with this with the count that you mentioned, that is it, that's the one of the greatest risk in my point of view. So I think very differently that way. How can one person or entity hold 20% of the market share, or yeah, for liquidity? That is too much. Then we cannot say that Bitcoin is truly decentralized. How can we say if one person or entity? And if we add 4-5 top holders, then probably that would be 90% or 95% of the total supply, I believe. If we include top 10, top 5 or top 10, not even in percentage, I believe. So who knows? So that's a real risk to me. This, I think. So maybe I'll pause and because we are so I'll end the Bitcoin analysis. So let me come back on that one after the recording, if you don't mind.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So I because we are recording, I'll complete this. Otherwise, the length will become very lengthy. So what we'll do, we'll now, this is good enough. We'll expand this on a weekly, and we'll change that to Bitstamp where we have, right? So yeah, so this without drawing, for last 3 weeks, or we can say fourth week, this is fourth week doing nothing. These are doji candles where there is no body or very little body, like this one. And this is a long doji candle, long legged doji candle. And so its interpretation of this is means it's doing nothing, it's just moving sideways. And this actually in line with what I meant, that this is neutral, because there's nothing, it's not taking any side here. On a weekly, even weekly time frame, forget about low time frame, on a weekly it is not deciding what to do. So if one says I'm bullish, nothing wrong. Why? Because the trend is up. But if one says I am bearish, it depends on what level he's saying, because this is still a downtrend, and this is not this has not reached to a recovery level. So from a technical point of view, this is still within a dead cat bounce range, no matter what people say. I hear a lot about 200-day moving average. I don't give, okay, I don't want to use that word, but I don't care about 200-day moving average. From my methodology point of view, this is still a dead cat bounce range. It has to go higher for it to reverse the trend. Of course, this is strong bounce, no doubt about it. As I said, only few days were important. This week, even this is the phase, and this is the rest is just noisy. But the height point of view, it has to be a little higher, which I'll let you know later. Okay, but I would say this is not good enough for us to say, okay, this is out of the woods. This is not out of the woods. This is not a pessimistic, this is not a negative comment, by the way. This is just purely based on technical analysis, that if you look at this one, it's so subjective that this is bullish. If you think from this point of view, this is bearish, this is still bearish. But if you look at from whole entire point of view, then this is bullish. So, and if you focus on only this one, then this is flat. So it conclusion depends on what you're tracking. What is the scope, right? So if your scope is whole entire wave, then it's still bullish. There are phases in between cycles then it's totally bullish. If you're focusing only this part, this is still bearish. This is still going down. If you focus on only in this one, this is bullish. If you focus only in this one, this is flat. And this is how it has to be interpreted. So bullish bearish stand is very specific or subjective to what scope you consider. It's not universal. Okay. So the weekly, to me, because there is no price action, there's nothing to add compared to what I said last time. So our drawing remains the same. I would say, yeah. So this red line, this could be the scenario. If it fails to break down, break above, then this is the scenario. If it's able to break above, then this is the potential scenario, right? Which we have depicted here. I'm not going to change anything. I just shifted from here to here because it is extending sideway movement. That's it. So on a weekly, I have nothing more. If you want to refer, you can refer last 3 weeks of Bitcoin video, because I don't want to repeat those things. There's nothing more to add. So with that note, I will end this session at the Bitcoin recording, I would say, and move into other topics.